Bring in Nilay Patel. He's editor-in-chief of The Verge and a CNBC contributor. Nilay, welcome. What do you think? I mean, these companies are very different in both their market power and what they do, what they make, what they sell. Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google. So you got to consider them one by one. But should any of them be broken up, and if so, why?
I do think several of them should be broken up. I've talked to Congressman Cicilline, who's the chair of the antitrust subcommittee, several times. You know, the through line for the hearing on Monday is digital marketplaces, competition in digital marketplaces. And so each of those four companies operates a marketplace. Apple operates the App Store, Facebook and Google operate an ads marketplace. Amazon obviously is a retailer, they operate an Amazon marketplace. And Cicilline's view is that they are taking unfair advantage of those marketplaces to preference their own products and to stifle competition. I don't think I need to tell the CNBC audience that healthy competition and free market is a good thing. And if that's being quashed by the size of these companies and their network effects, then Congress can take a look. Congress, however, cannot break up the companies. That is a law enforcement action. So I think the recommendation out of these committee hearings will be to do that in some way. But I think there's a few steps along the way to be taken.
And that would probably be led by the Federal Trade Commission or by the Justice Department or by attorneys general in the various states. Let's take the case of Google just to start somewhere. As you look at its multiple businesses, where is the anti-competitive nexus there?
It's in a lot of places, but I think that the place to start is that search results page. Google has a dominant market share in search. And over time, if you're a consumer even using Google search, you see more and more and more Google's own results, Google's own products, Google's own properties are populating at the top of that search field. And so already Google is using its power in the marketplace to steer people to its own products. And then it is, because its business is selling ads, it's making competitors to its products pay for ads to appear in those rankings. So Google's own products, Google's own divisions don't have to pay to appear at the top of the list. Competitors have to pay some of their margin to appear at the top of the list. You want to get even more technical with Google, almost every part of the modern ad tech stack that powers revenue on the web has a Google product in a 1 or 2 position in the market, and Google definitely uses that power to affect revenue across the entire web. That's wonky, it's boring, but it is billions and billions of dollars that affect everything from publishers to e-commerce.
And yet, Nilay, you think that breaking off Instagram from Facebook could become a focus of the hearing on Monday. Is this something that authorities can just unilaterally decide if they did come to such a decision?
I think what we're going to see a lot of focus on that on Monday. I think a lot of the focus is going to be whether that transaction was properly scrutinized at the time, whether the FTC and the DOJ took a hard enough look at Facebook's acquisition of Instagram, whether Facebook thought Instagram was a real competitor, whether there's any evidence to show that, and then if it wasn't properly scrutinized, whether some remedial action should be taken now. I suspect everything I've heard tells me this is going to be a major focus of the hearing when Zuckerberg takes a stand.
Nilay, would these companies, we haven't even gotten to Amazon yet, which is partly a web services company, obviously majorly a retailer. Would these companies be worth more broken up than they are together?
I think absolutely, without question. What is the dominant narrative of the tech industry right now? They are hunting for growth. They're absolutely out of places to grow. I think we're seeing it in the markets today. They've gotten all the wins they can. They compete in weird interlocking ways, but they don't compete head on a lot. You spin off YouTube from Google, what's the first thing it's going to do? It's going to build an extension of its search engine to cover the web. Google will have to build a new video product. Those are growth opportunities for now 2 independent companies. You spin off Instagram from Facebook, they will start to compete on things that are hot button culture issues like moderation, but also on things like ROI to direct response advertising. There's a lot of growth locked up in these companies because they don't want to compete with themselves and they don't want to take each other on. You break them up, I think you're going to start to see a lot more movement from a lot of executives who have basically been contained.
Yeah, so they could find new pathways to enrich themselves or become CEOs. Let me ask you then, so if that's the case, why not let the investment bankers do the work here? In other words, come in and say, hey, listen, Facebook, you got to understand that you're going to be and make a lot more value creation if you split this company up than here. Why not let the market and the investment bankers take care of something that you seem to think the government can and should?
Well, you have four different companies with four very different stock structures, four very different ownership structures.
True.
You cannot do that to Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg's, the ownership structure of Facebook is such that every year the shareholders vote to put more oversight over Zuckerberg, and he votes no, and he wins. Google's part of Alphabet. Alphabet structure is the same with Larry and Sergey. You might be able to do it with Apple. They're a more traditionally organized company, but I don't think a lot of investment bankers think that Apple should be spun off of the App Store. So you've got kind of a different set of problems, a different set of ownership structures that really kind of insulate the market from pushing for some of these options.